When I found Marietta, I didn't just find a place to go to college. I found so much more than that.
I found friends. I found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this special WCMO NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Landon Santini. Now, you may be aware that in addition to the regular programs produced here at Marietta College by the faculty and students, each election season we try to focus on regional races and produce a variety of election-oriented programming. But now that it's not election season, we'd like to take this opportunity to get to know some of our own elected officials a little bit better. So during this particular program, Marietta College's broadcast journalism students, including myself, will take a time to talk with some of our current Marietta City Council, Marietta City School Board members, and Marietta's own mayor. We'll also learn more about their responsibilities and the things they'd like to see happen in the future, among other things. It all starts in the moment, right here, right now, on WCMO NewsCenter 15. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this special WCMO TV NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Trey, Faley. Here in the studio with me today is Russ Garison. Russ is serving as a member of Marietta City's School Board of Education. So Russ, let's get started with a little bit of your background and kind of why you got into this position.
Okay. Well, I've been on the school board for about a year and a half now, so it's still very early in the learning curve, still a very steep part of the learning curve, and from everything going on in the schools, it's probably going to stay a steep learning curve for a while. I got involved with the school board when I saw that there was going to be an opening, and decided that there was a need. And part of what I've always worked on my children about is that when there's a need in the community and something that needs to happen, it's important to step up and take care of that need and step in. And I thought that I had a set of skills that would be beneficial in helping run in the diverse needs of the school board. My background is training as a chemical engineer, and worked for DuPont for about 35 years in a wide variety of positions in operations management and project management, and then a lot of continuous improvement activities as a Six Sigma black belt and lean manufacturing. And so lots of different skills to help understand problems and address problems that I thought would be useful.
Certainly. So, and what are your main responsibilities in this position, and why would you say that your position is important to the school board?
The responsibilities of the school board are primarily policy and oversight. The school board has two employees. The employees of the school board are the superintendent and the treasurer, and it's the superintendent and the treasurer that have the responsibilities for the day-to-day administration and operation of the schools. And it's the school board's job to make sure that we're overseeing that and that everything's moving in the right direction, and we're providing the right resources and funding and those sort of oversight issues to make things move along.
And with all those responsibilities, I'm sure there's quite a few frustrations you have. What would you say are some of the main ones?
Well, I think the biggest frustration comes out of the fact that for the school district, many of the things that we're working on, our hands are tied. It's really the legislature and the state and the federal governments that are providing pretty tight boundaries around which we have to work within. And so it's the lack of freedom. I think my key learning since getting on the school board was just how many different requirements there are that the school districts have to address. people like to talk about, why aren't you just focusing on reading, writing, and arithmetic? But the requirements of the schools are so different than they were 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago when I was in school, that the number of different things that the schools have to address and have to provide for the students and is huge, and it keeps going up all the time. Every time there's somebody who has an issue, it's, we'll let the schools take care of this. And so it's really a huge task within the school district to address everything that the schools are being asked to address. And so that was kind of the key learning on how big the task was. I think the biggest frustration for me overall is the funding approach for schools out of the state legislature and the governor and how we are funding our schools. I think the key approach is figure out how much money we're going to have in the budget after we make somebody happy with a tax cut, and then divide that up within the schools after passing some other money out and about. And my passion and desire would be for us to see what do we really need to fund our schools to be able to do the right job of educating all the students that are showing up and get them all engaged and working to come out prepared for life after school. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the approach. And so we'll see where the current budget cycle comes out in that one.
Okay. And obviously, it's not all bad with the school board. What would you say are some of the one positive thing or some positive things that you have in your occupation there?
Well, I think the biggest positive to me as I've climbed in is that with the huge number of requirements and dictates coming from other places out, how capable and positive the administration and the teachers and the staff that are working with the students are about, how can we do the best job we can within the constraints that we have, address the educational requirements and the requirements that the students have, and make progress, regardless of the constraints being put in place. How do we do the best job and keep moving forward? So I've been delighted with the quality of the staff and the teaching staff and the focus of the administration, and keep moving forward, not getting frustrated by all the constraints within the system, and just keep doing the best job that we can and moving forward.
And what's in the future for you, such as goals or something you'd like to achieve, projects you'd like done for the future in your position?
Well, the big one that's going on right now is that we're redoing the curriculum for literacy from elementary all the way through the high school. And so the new curriculum should be rolling out this summer. That gives us a better blend of online and traditional materials to work with the students and move forward. So that's an important thing that's coming out right away. We're also working on a plan for the facilities, and what do we have to do to renew our facilities. The school buildings within the district range from 50 years old to well over 100 years old. And so we have a lot of old buildings that when we're trying to retrofit for technology and other stuff, as well as just accessibility for some of the students. The district's been doing a very good job over the last years maintaining them and making sure that we can continue to function well, but they continue to provide limitations on how we can operate, how we can upgrade technology and other stuff, and we're going to have to address that. And so we're starting to work through a plan, the planning process of what are our different options to be able to do that, and then we'll take a look at all the different options and get community input and figure out what's the right direction to renew the facilities moving forward.
And then with all this growth you're looking forward to, anything, would you like to continue in this position when the election comes back up?
That's a couple years away. I'm still going to be involved in education in some form or fashion. I may run again. It depends on how much my wife is still wanting to work and active and versus traveling. All of our last child's in high school now, and we'll be out in a year and a half or so, and then the other children are spread out across the country. So have to balance out traveling and seeing them with the responsibilities of the school board and being here to take care of those things and decide whether to run again.
Yeah, of course. And is there anything else you'd like to add and let the people know?
I think the biggest thing that's important for people to understand is the limitations that the Ohio open meeting laws and sunshine laws put on the operation of the school board. The requirement that we conduct our business in open meetings has been interpreted to include that we can't share our views and discussions across email. And so if somebody brings up an issue that they want us to be taking a look at, a lot of times they show up at the next school board meeting expecting that we've had those discussions and have worked through the thoughts and views of the issue, when reality is that next scheduled open meeting is going to be our first opportunity to work with the other school board members to understand their different views. And our only authority is when we're working as a full board, not individually. And so while we can interact with the administrators individually on understanding where things are at, if you're going to set policy, if you're going to set direction for the school district, it really takes all 5 members being involved in the discussion together to understand where they all are to decide how to move forward.
Well, Russ, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we appreciate your commitment over the years as an elected official.
Thank you very much.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, hi, what's your name? You live around here? You're pretty. Where are you guys going? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Guess it's about time to get you fixed, sweetie.
Your pets will start getting noticed sooner than you think. Accidental litters lead to millions killed in shelters each year. Help prevent more. Fix at month 4.
I think it goes around.
Come on, buddy.
I'm here for you.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Look.
Why is it so hard?
Let's go. We gotta get you to practice.
I read it. Look, and it said.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this special WCMO TV NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Kyle Dugan. Here in the studio with me today is Stephen Thomas. Stephen is serving as a member of Marietta City Council, representing Marietta's 3rd Ward. So, to start off, the first question I want to ask Stephen is, what's your background, and why did you decide to get involved in City Council?
Okay, my background is actually I'm a social worker. I worked in the field for about 10 years, and I've taught some school at Washington State. And I came back to this area. I wanted to be a voice for the disabled, because we have a large amount in our community, and the elderly, because those are 2 groups of people I think sometimes are overlooked. In a lot of situations, especially in an older town where we don't have a lot of disability access for people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. So in your position, what are your main responsibilities?
Okay, as the 3rd Ward City Councilman, I'm responsible for the constituents in my area. I listen to concerns and try to address those as best I can. A lot of them sometimes can be very difficult. Others can be simple and be resolved very easily. I'm also the police and fire chair, and my responsibility is to make sure the police and fire department have the proper equipment and enough money to run the both groups of people, so we can have our proper police and fire people in the area to take care of our people in the community.
Okay. So with any job or position, your job probably comes with some frustrations. What are some of those frustrations?
Probably some of the frustrations is right now is finances with the city. We don't have we're up against it right now. We don't have a lot of money, and we have a lot of things that need to be done in the city within the infrastructure. And in my ward, we're up in the 3rd ward. We're one of the larger wards, and there's a lot of streets that need to be repaved. We've been working on it since I've been on council. They're putting in new water lines because our water lines are old. And as far as police and fire chair right now, we're pretty good shape vehically wise, except for eventually we're going to have to need a new pumper, which is a lot of money. It's about $500,000 that the city's going to have to come up with, and right now times are tough with finances. So it's kind of frustrating because you'd like to do things, but things take a kind of a priority of what we need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then on the opposite side, what are some positive things about your position? What do you enjoy?
I enjoy with the firemen. I took an EMT class at Washington State and got to ride with some of the guys, and it was very enjoyable to see what they go through every day. I enjoy working with the constituents. There's a lot of people that I've got to be friends with. I've got to know them real well. I've got to know people on the council real well. A lot of them are my friends. Positive thing is, we've got probably one of the best equipped and best police force and fire department in this area of Ohio, because we as council try to make sure that they have that things, because that's a very important thing. Police and fire is one of the 5 main things that the council takes care of, and it's one of to me it's I'm very into the police and fire department people. I like what they do. I like they have a hard job, and they're our first responders, and they have a lot of responsibility.
Okay. What's in your future, such as goals you'd like to achieve or projects you'd like to get?
Rathbone's been an issue for a lot of years, over 40 years. I've got stuff from previous council members that give it to me to look at, and the drainage in Rathbone has been an issue for a lot of years. I'd like to get something done about that. I've tried. There's just not the finances there right now. We've done a little bit of work over there in the past, and that's one of my things. I always like to see things done in the 3rd ward. I like to see streets paved. We just got the Indian Acres lot resurfaced and relined, and I think that was a wonderful thing, to get done. Some of the blighted properties, there's been 2 purchased here recently. One on Miss Kingdom Drive that was an old gas station, and it's been repurposed, and there's one on Warren Street up near my house that's being repurposed. So I'm glad to see people are taking an incentive in the community and starting to do some work. And then on the flip side, the hospitals has bought some properties and tearing down some of the old blighted homes for parking, I suppose. I'm not sure what they're going to do with their property they bought. But so those things are always, always on the radar, trying to get things done. But blighted properties has been a big issue for me for a lot of since I've been on council, because there's a lot of them in my ward, and there's quite a few.
Okay. So would you like to continue in this position the next time it's up for election?
I've already registered to rerun again. This election's this in November, and I'm hoping that I can get reelected. I like what I do. I'm pretty committed to it. I attend several meetings. We have a lot of committee meetings. That's where a lot of the work goes on. And we have our big meetings, our two Thursday night meetings, the first and third Thursday of the month. And so, it takes a lot of commitment to be in this position, and a lot of more time than a lot of people think, because we spend a lot of hours in chambers talking about different issues that are, committee meetings are open to the public. But I'm not only on the police and fire committee, but I'm on the water and sewer and employee relations. So I have 2 other committees I have to sit on their meetings. So it's a commitment, and it takes a certain person, I guess, to make that commitment, because a lot of people don't understand what we do as council.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to add?
Just that I hope that people understand we're actually trying to raise the income tax. I hope people understand that we haven't raised it since the early 80s, and times have changed. Money's a little tighter, and it takes a lot more money to run things than it did back when that income tax first started. And I think that people understand that we need to raise the income tax. I mean, it's not something we are doing just because we think we need to do it. It's something that we're doing because the city needs the money, because we've lost a lot of funding due to loss of the inheritance tax and some other funding from the federal and state governments. So, and the money's, our money's gotten tight, and we need the extra cash. So I think that's one of the things I like to stress. Is I know there's going to be an issue on the ballot here coming up in the May 2nd. So I'm hoping people decide that we're not looking for it to get pay raises. We're looking for it to run city functions and run the city services.
Okay. Well, Stephen, thank you for taking your time to join us today, and we'd appreciate it. We appreciate your commitment to serve as an elected official.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this special WCMO TV NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Rosemary Raths. Here in the studio with us today is Tom Vykovic. Tom has served as a member of Marietta City Council, representing Marietta's 4th Ward. What's your background, and why did you decide to get involved with the City Council?
Well, I'm a retired school teacher. I taught in Marietta for 34 years, and I had the opportunity because I was working with a councilman at the time. His name was Art Fordham. Position became available when the president of council at that time, Bob O'Malley, decided to retire midterm. The 4th Ward councilman, Phil Case, was appointed to be his successor and president of council. That left a seat open, and I applied, and I was interviewed with a number of other people, and I was chosen to represent my ward at that time. I have always been politically involved in high school, college, and actually I was for a number of years. I was a precinct committeeman, and decided that it was time for me to get involved. My son had just gone off to college, my second son, and he left in August of 1998, and I was appointed to serve as the 4th Ward councilman on my birthday, October 14th, 1998.
That's fantastic. Why is working as the City Council 4th Ward important, and what are your main responsibilities?
Well, of course, my job is to look out for the best interests of the City Council, or of the 4th Ward in the city. I have spent a great deal of time making sure that life is better for people. I am, I'd say, an awful lot of what I have to do is really serving as an ombudsman with people who have complaints and have issues that they can't resolve in any other way, and they're looking for help, and I've helped a great deal of people. Plus, I've served on a number of committees in City Council. I was Streets Chair, I was Water and Sewer Chair, and for the last, since 2009, I've been I think it's 2009, I've been the Finance Chair. I have served on a number of other committees. I was on a Special Utilities Chair, I've been Audit Chair. I have a wealth of experience. I've now been a councilman for 18 and a half years, and actually I'm right now the longest serving.
Wow. So of course, working with people, trying to please everyone, you just can't do that. So what are some of the frustrations of your job?
Well, the hard part of my job is that you can't please everyone. And that takes, there are times where I understand that there are two sides or more to any particular issue, and I have to make decisions that are sometimes not agreeable to some folks, but to others they are exactly what they're looking for. And that's one of the major frustrations, in that we have to spend a great deal of time trying to research and understand what the issues are. And when I took this job, Phil Case and Art Fordham, Art being the previous Fourth Ward councilman and who was a councilman at large, told me that this job was only going to involve 2 meetings a month. Well, I knew better than that, and it really does take a great deal of time and effort. I get phone calls. It's interesting going to the grocery store, because trying to get out of the grocery store without somebody stopping me without an issue is really difficult. People know who I am. I've been there a long time, and probably right now the really frustrating thing is that for us, the wolf has been at the door for so many times over the years, telling us that we are in trouble financially, and we are dealing with the fact that that I sponsored a piece of legislation that was put on the ballot that will be there in May for an income tax increase, because as we have studied what's happening, what we've seen is that the city is in real trouble, and it's not only us; it's cities all over the state. There are quite a few cities, including Akron and Canton right now, that are in fiscal emergency. There are other cities that are dealing with the same issues that we are, and that is that we've lost a lot of state funding over the years, and income tax just isn't enough at our current level to be able to sustain the services that we think people want in our community.
So that sounds like a lot of tough stuff you're working with, but is there a silver lining? Is there anything you truly enjoy about your job?
Oh, I love this job. I think probably one of the best parts is that when I can finally help a constituent who is really frustrated with the system, who hasn't been able to get an answer or get a solution to a problem, and I'm able to work through that for them, I think that's really, that makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something, and this job is very worthwhile. I am retiring from this position at the end of this term. I will have been a councilman, if I make it to the end of the term, 19 and a quarter years. That's an extremely long time to serve as a ward councilman, but I think that it is incredibly important to have an advocate for that position. When you look at the position of council at large, they basically represent the entire city. But to get to know and understand the issues in a particular ward are incredibly important. I know where the drainage problems are. When we had the water tank down this past summer because of painting, I was able to help solve some problems for some neighbors who were upset with the water line breaks. And at least if I couldn't make the line better, at least I got them answers as to why things were happening the way they are. And that's probably the best part of my job, and that is that the longer that I've done it, the more people that I've gotten to know, and when somebody really does have a problem, I'm able to search out an answer, and I know the resources. I got a call this morning about a property where someone was concerned that there might not be a work permit a building permit that was issued. So I was actually able to call the right people and talk to those people and say, hey, can you investigate this to make sure that, things are being done in a proper manner? I went to the PUCO hearing last week at Washington State Community College, and I made a presentation. And when it was over, I was approached by someone from AEP that I had learned and met years ago, who was there representing AEP, and we knew each other. And because of that, I was able to express the fact that had AEP communicated better with the residents up on 8th Street, a lot of the problems wouldn't have been there. And one of the residents sent us an email, sent all council people an email stating that the city should have done something about it. And I was able to respond with a copy or a quote from AEP that actually said that we, as a city, no one has control over the right-of-way. AEP, if they want to come in and clear-cut all of the streets, they can do that. But, we have established in this community a really good working relationship with AEP. So they do work with our traffic commission, our tree commission. We got some things out of that, but the way they handled this particular issue just wasn't acceptable. And I was able to express that to the AEP representative.
So you mentioned that you're retiring, and you have all these things that you're doing now. Do you have any projects to go out with a bang? Anything you want to get done before you retire?
Well, one of the things that I have had happen in my ward, I put together a partnership with the Kiwanis Club and the Washington County Career Center, we used some community block development grant funds, and we built a pavilion at Flanders Field. And I've really worked hard to make sure that Flanders Field continues to be open to the public, because there are always forces out there that would like to privatize those lands and make them not available to the local community. It just seems to happen that way. When there's a really nice piece of land, someone would like to do something with it. Well, we have Lookout Park, and I've talked with the development director at a meeting a few weeks ago, and I have tried for years to get a pavilion built there, to make that park more attractive to the community, to try to find a sponsor for that, and it may yet happen before my term's out.
That would be great.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would like to add, you'd like the people to know?
Well, again, I think it's very important to understand that the financial health of the city is really a problem. Our general fund at the end of last month had a zero balance, which is really scary to me. We are waiting for the property tax settlement from the county, which will help. But what we've seen happen is that we've seen a continuing declining balance on our carryover numbers, which means that we just have less money to spend. And I am concerned that, the general fund basically takes care of services, and we spend between 83 and 85% of our money on people, because those people are the people that are out there doing the things that need to be that are necessary for the safety of the community. We pay our police department and most of our fire department, about 2/3 of our fire department, out of that fund, and it's really just to me. I get nothing out of this one, but I see that the community is going to need to spend some more money. With the state reducing the monies that are coming to us, we lost $500,000 a year from the inheritance money that they took that away, and we've lost intergovernmental monies, basically about 50% of that money. well, actually a little bit more than that, and it's just really, really scary to think about where we're headed and what's going to happen in our community should things come to pass as we think they are. So we really do need the voters of this community to think very seriously and be supportive of our effort to increase the city income tax. If I had another way, I wouldn't be doing this. It is the end of my term, and it was the last thing that, it was the last thing that I could think of to come up with. The administration is supportive, and I really hope that the community will vote for it.
Well, Tom, thank you for assuming that responsibility and for caring for the citizens. And thank you to Thomas Vykovic for coming in and speaking with us today.
Thank you.
I never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
Welcome back, and thank you all for joining us for this special WCMO NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Landon Santini. Here with us in the studio today is Josh Schiller. Josh is serving as the president of Marietta City Council and also occasionally fills in as acting mayor of Marietta. So thank you for joining us today, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. First of all, we'd like to talk a little bit. We'd like to start this off by talking a little bit about your background. So, first off, what was it that made you decide to get involved with city government?
Well, I've always been interested over the years with just how the city operates and the functions of city government. In 2005, I had the opportunity to be appointed by the mayor to serve on the Marietta Traffic Commission, and I served 8 years on that commission. And it was a lot like council. We dealt with public concerns and comments, and then we had to come up with solutions and deal with the problems at hand. So that gave me a pretty good start, and then I decided, well, if I'm doing this, then city council is the next step, and I've enjoyed being on council. I started out as an at-large councilman, and then decided to run for president of council, and that's where I'm at today.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Well, now that you are at this position, what are some of your main responsibilities? What are some of the reasons that this position is important?
Well, the president of council is the chief administrative officer for the council. Every council member is independently elected by the people, and they're responsible to the electors. But my job every day is supervision of the council clerk. She's our only full-time employee, and she keeps council in a well-oiled state, because if not, we have a lot of different members, and if you don't have one person keeping everything organized and functioning, then we all know what that means. So she keeps the day-to-day operations of council. As far as all the minutes, she has to keep track of all that. She has to keep track of the scheduling the meetings and make sure the public's aware of that. So she's got a lot of daily functions, and then I serve as her immediate supervisor. And then I'm also in charge of all the anything that council would spend money on, I have to approve. And I'm just the overall administrative officer for council. I also serve as well, I have to preside over the meetings. That's one of my biggest functions. We have 2 meetings a week, or I'm sorry, 2 meetings a month, and so I have to preside over those and keep the best decorum that I can with council. And then also I work when I'm not serving as acting mayor, which I am now. I work closely with the administration and the mayor, and I'm a liaison between the mayor's office and city council. And that's the main functions of the job. But I also enjoy getting out and meeting with citizens and hearing their either concerns or complaints or issues that they're wanting to address, and then I can bring those back to council and or the administration and make sure we can try to solve problems the best we can.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it sounds like a big part of your job is talking to people with the intent of solving their problems. Now, yes. People who find themselves in that kind of a position often tend to get frustrated sometimes. So, like, are there any frustrations with your job that comes with your job, and what are they, if there
Absolutely. The biggest frustration, and I think everyone shares this on council or in an administrative role with a city operation, is there's always not enough money to do what we would like to do and what we need to do. We can have better operations, we can streamline things, but once you get to a certain point, if you don't have funding for certain projects, road projects, for instance, and infrastructure is huge investments, and we just don't have the money that we can just write checks for those large projects. So any project that we have to undertake, whether it be water line, sewer line, street reconstruction, street maintenance, has to be dealt with either bonds or the cash flow that we have. So with a city operation, we don't have the luxury of running deficits. We have to have a balanced budget every year. So I shouldn't say luxury of deficit, but the ability to have a deficit, which we don't have. So everything that we do, we have to either do on a cash basis or we have to borrow money for. And when you borrow money, we have to pay it back. So we have to have a revenue stream that allows that full circle.
Yeah, money makes the world go round.
Absolutely.
It's sad but true.
Right.
Well, with as frustrating as things can get in any job, I like to think there's good in everything. So what are some of the positive things about your job? What are the things that you really love about it?
Well, implementing change is a big one. Anytime that we can take whether it be a problem or just an improvement and actually bring that through the planning stages, the funding cycles, and actually implementing that, whether it be an improvement or a change or something that the city needs, is the greatest satisfaction. It could be something simple like buying a police car. We do that, every couple of years. To doing either a major road project, or we just did a few intersections a couple of years ago, or we put in place some kind of incentive program like a TIF program that's a tax incremental financing situation where we have development in the city, for instance out on Pike Street. So anytime that we can take something through the whole stages of government and come out on the other side with a positive project for the community, that's the greatest satisfaction. Because ultimately we work for the community, we work for all the taxpayers, and our job is to make the best decisions with what we have at the time and implement those and give the taxpayer the best project at the best price that we can.
That, honestly, that right there is a good philosophy for really anyone to live by, whether you're a politician or not. It's important to know how to make good choices, the ones that'll make your lives better. Oh, speaking of life, you have, during the course of this interview, you've talked about some stuff that you've done with your position in the past and stuff that you're currently working on right now. What about the future? Are there any goals that you would like to achieve with for your position? Any projects you're currently working on or want to do in the future?
Yeah, when I came in, we had council was kind of in a standstill. We didn't really have things up to where they needed to be to meet the time. So I've kind of made a few changes for the betterment of council, getting the public more engaged and better informed of what council was up to. In the future, a lot of it's going to be infrastructure, and again, it comes back to finding the revenue sources for infrastructure improvements. The biggest problem that we have is we have two major projects right now. We have the wastewater treatment plant that's undergoing about a $26 million upgrade that was built in the 1950s and using 1950s technology. So we're working on that project. That's been an ongoing project even since before, when I was a councilman at large. I voted to put that project in place. But that's an ongoing project that's going to be multiple years and multiple phases down the road. So we have that going on, but we also we're facing a lot of aging water line and sewer line that constantly have to be replaced. And we're also dealing with a large expenditure with the fire department, because every 30 years we have to replace fire apparatus, so we're looking at a major expenditure there. And that's the biggest thing, is trying to forecast what we have to spend and get the money in place, so when it comes time to spend, we have the ability to pay. So it's constantly, we have a 5-year financial forecast, but it's constantly changing that, because times change, our needs change, the revenue changes. So it's all a balancing act to try to keep that going in the future.
Wow, it's amazing. When you see stuff like fire hydrants on the streets, you don't really think about, hey, does that thing need to be replaced? How up to date is that? You've got a lot you certainly have a lot to think about. Well, speaking of having a lot to think about, would you be interested in, running for this position again at the next election?
Right, yeah, I'm currently running for this position this year, which is in another 2 years. Which I'm unopposed in this election, so I would, obviously I'm running for this position, and then I'm not sure what the future will bring, but I have another 2 years after this year of this position.
Well, if you're going to be running unopposed, I think it's safe to say that that's an easy thing to do a future forecast for.
That's right.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add about, any thoughts about this position and things that you do before we wrap up?
It's just, it's a very enjoyable position. They say that you join the government or you run for office not to make any money, because there's not that incentive there, but the enjoyment I get is to work with the citizens that have elected me, and we can't satisfy all their needs, but we sure work to do the best that we can with what we have to work with, and there's always room for improvement, and that's the other thing, is in the future you always have to keep looking for improvement and ways to make things better and smarter, more efficient. So that's why I'm always looking at that, but it's really an enjoyable position to know that you're represented, or you represent the citizens of your city that you live in and you are elected by, and I really appreciate their support, and hope to continue to do the job the best I can.
Well, I hope to say that a lot of the people in Marietta really appreciate what you do for them as well. And we here at WCMO appreciate that as well. So thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Josh Slicker, for taking the time to join us today. And we certainly appreciate your commitment and service to our community as an elected official.
Thank you. Pleasure.
When I found Marietta, I didn't just find a place to go to college. I found so much more than that.
I found friends. I found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this special WCMO TV News Center 15 program. I'm Sydney Gregory. Here in the studio with me today is Michael McCauley. Mike is serving as a member of Marietta City Council for Marietta's 2nd Ward. So, Mike, I guess we'll start a little bit. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to get involved with the City Council?
Certainly. My background is I'm a lifelong resident of Marietta. I went into service right after high school, served a tour in Vietnam, came back, I worked in a plant for a while, then I went on the Marietta Police Department. I stayed on the Marietta Police Department long enough to retire. I left the police department, went to the Marietta High School, and taught social studies for 17 years. While at the high school, I got upset about an issue before council. And I came down to council to listen to it and speak to them. Matter of fact, some of the students that I graduated with were complaining about the city council to name a street that gets back to Walmart. They wanted to call it Council Drive. We wanted to call it Captain Seeley, MIA. Okay, I graduated with Doug Seeley. Okay, and after we talked to them, it almost like they didn't pay any attention to us. So I don't live far away, and I walked home and gone up the hill. I thought about it, and I said, if you're upset about it, you need to do something about it. Well, I taught civics. I knew what a petition was and how to fill a petition out. So I filled out a petition for the 2nd Ward, ran, and was elected.
Wow, that's a really cool backstory. So with your position, what are a few of your main responsibilities, and why do you think that what makes your position so important?
Each council member is the chairman of a committee. Then they're on 2 other committees. I'm chairman of Water and Sewer, okay? So under my tutelage on that is the rebuild of the wastewater plant and the water plant, and the city Devola sewer controversy. So I'm busy at that.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a lot. So I guess with that, what would you say would be a few of the frustrations that you deal with in your position, I guess?
Really not a whole lot. City Council gets along pretty well. There's not a lot of politics in it. I've been on City Council as a Republican and a Democrat. Generally it's not politically orientated. Most of us believe that we're going to listen to all the options and do whatever's, at the end of the day, do whatever's the best for the city of Marietta and the citizens.
That's great. Since there aren't that many frustrations, what would you say would be a few of the more positive notes about what you do?
Well, the positive notes? I was on land, buildings, and parks, and at that time we built the Marietta Aquatic Center. We started the bike path. Okay, that's 2 of the big accomplishments I've made. Then we've started into rebuilding the wastewater plant, and now we're and looking at protecting our well field and our water plant.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot that you've been doing. So with that, with all the things that you've been doing, looking towards more of a future scope, what do you think would be a few of the goals that you would like to accomplish with your position, and maybe like adding on to some of the things that you've been doing?
Well, the first thing I do, I'd like to resolve the issue with the wastewater plant. Okay, that's a multi-million-dollar project, and it's not to be completed for a couple, 3 years. The other thing is to solve the Devola issue with the sewer. Right. Okay, we have a contract, a binding contract with the county, and it's just getting them to hold up their end of the contract.
Yeah, right. That sounds like some really good prospects for the future. I like that. So when the election rolls around the next time, would you be interested in continuing for the next position, or do you think you have other things on the horizon? What are your feel for that?
I'm up on the ballot in November. Okay, there's the position Second Ward City Council, right. And I'm unopposed. So you know, there's a couple ways to run for City Council. One scared, and one not to worry about anything. And I'm in that position this term.
Good. Well, that's good. I like your attitude. Is there anything else that you would like to add for the people? Anything else you would like them to know about you or your position, or anything else?
I don't know how to put this. I was born in Marietta. Okay, went to Marietta High School, got out, and while I was on the police department, started in night school here. Okay, I got my degree in psychology and sociology. I come back years later and took all the education courses to get my secondary teaching certificate. And I live across the street, and I had more cooperation with people at Marietta College, Jim Stevens being one of them that kept my finance and stuff in order, and Mr. Bansinger, who was in charge of the non-traditional student. Matter of fact, I took day classes as a non-traditional student.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just, and the people in Marietta are just great. I mean, we look after each other, okay, and help people. And I owe a lot of the city of Marietta, and I'm going to repay it.
Wow, that's awesome, Mike. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming in and taking your time, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, hi, what's your name? You live around here? You're pretty. Where are you guys going? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Guess it's about time to get you fixed, sweetie.
Your pets will start getting noticed sooner than you think. Accidental litters lead to millions killed in shelters each year. Help prevent more. Fix at month 4.
I think it goes around.
Come on, buddy.
I'm here for you.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Look, look.
Why is this so hard?
Let's go. We gotta get you in practice.
I read it. Look, and it said.
Thanks for staying with us for the special WCMO TV News Center 15 program. I'm Kyle Dugan. Here in the studio with me today is Cindy Oxender. Cindy is serving as a member of the Council at Large on Marietta City Council. Cindy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your background, and why did you decide to get involved with what you do?
Very fine. I am currently a elementary school teacher. I teach children with reading disabilities, grades K through 5. In addition to that, I'm an adjunct faculty member at Ohio Valley University. I teach one class per year there. And also, my background is in the field of education, as you might guess, and then I have a master's degree in guidance and counseling. And there's a myriad of reasons why I got involved with City Council. My only daughter, my only child, Cecilia, went off to college, and I'd always wanted to be in politics. So I thought that this was an opportune time to give back to the community, and I was real excited about that. In addition to that, I also thought about what would I like Marietta to be years from now when my daughter comes back and visits me, hopefully with some grandchildren. She's kind of young right now, 21, so that won't be for quite a while, but I wanted to be able to contribute to the longevity and sustainability of Marietta, so that's why I ran.
Okay. Well, that's a good reason. Good couple reasons. What are your main responsibilities? And why is your position important?
Sure. Our main responsibilities as City Council people is to listen, and I'm reminded by that from a book that a kindergartner brought in to me. It was real cute, and it's called My Teacher for President, and it had a picture here of she is a good listener. I think our main responsibility as City Council people is listening to what the general public would like within the City of Marietta, looking at our current policies and working with the administration to develop legislation, ordinances that might address those concerns, and hopefully in the end coming up with solutions that will make Marietta a better place to live and grow your family.
Okay. I mean, just from this listening to how you talk about your position, you seem like you really enjoy it, but are there some frustrations that come with your position? Anything that
I think with any job that you have some frustrations. I think I can only speak for me, but I think sometimes there's things that are out of our control and we're not able to weigh in on. For example, I know a lot of citizens on 8th Street were very disappointed with their trees recently coming down. They were in a city right-of-way. Utilities have precedence and rights to those right-of-ways, unfortunately, based on how some state law was written. I talked with our city law director today. We're looking at some ways to address the right-of-way issue so that we, as a city, would have more control over our right-of-ways and the utilities might have a little less control. And that was really the crux of what happened there, is the utilities had the control of that right away and were able to cut down those trees when so many citizens were not in favor of that. So that was disappointing to me because I have family that lives on that street, I have friends that live on that street, and it was heartbreaking to see that, yet I had no control over changing that for anyone. Right now, we are looking towards the long term. As I said, we've talked to the city law director, or I have at least, and he's looking at what some other municipalities are doing with a class action suit in order to gain more control over that right away. So that was one time where I was a bit frustrated, yet I had no control over it. So.
Okay. At the opposite end, what are some positive things about your position? What do you enjoy?
Oh my gosh, there's so many different positives. I know you had Mike McCauley on earlier. I really enjoy working with him, the other counselors. So many of them are supportive, and even if we don't agree on an issue always, we can walk away at the end of the day and truly know that we've got each other's backs and we're friends. And I'm a single parent. There's not another adult in my household, and many of these people that I serve on City Council with have become my friends, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. It's very fulfilling to see when a project does come full circle. It was very fulfilling to be able to sit on the committee that put together the city's first ever half marathon, know that half marathon was raising money for a playground, which we didn't have money to update. And so that came from private dollars. That was really very exciting to see that come to fruition. Working with the Board of Realtors to see that a home beautification program has been formulated and is now debuting is also another positive. I'm real excited about that. When you're able to work on a tax credit, a historic tax credit for a historic building, and you know that will give life to a new building, people will be excited about that. And then you see that not only did that building have new life because of that historic tax credit, but it also created new jobs, and those new jobs brought in citizens that were able to patronize our local businesses. That's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. It must be, like you said, exciting that you are able to have a hand in positive change around the community and being able to see all these things come about that can help the community. It must be exciting.
It's very exciting, but it's not without a lot of hard work from our community citizens. Mm-hmm. There are so many citizens that come forward and agree to either serve on a committee or be part of a process. And so, as Mike alluded to earlier, we have a lot of citizens in Marietta that take care of each other. Their neighbors, their family, their friends. And so it's a small town with a big heart. Mm-hmm. We're really lucky to live in Marietta.
Mm-hmm. So the next question, what is in your future, such as maybe some goals you'd like to achieve or projects you'd like to have done while you're still in office?
Sure. Well, I am very excited about the city's first ever half marathon that occurred. That's going to occur again the first weekend in October this year. And this year, the benefactor of those funds will be the city's aquatic center, which is in need of some updates. I've had a lot of friends and neighbors who have asked that the aquatic center receive some updates, and so these again will be some private dollars that can go towards that cause. So I'm real excited about that. I'm excited about the CRAs, which are some areas where we're hoping to see some more development, economic development issues. There's some new restaurants and things going on down by the Lowe's area, some economic development issues going on there. Of course, my daughter's excited. She hears that in the works is an IHOP restaurant. So, of course, we'll probably be one of the first patrons there for some blueberry pancakes. But I think there's some exciting opportunities in Marietta, Ohio, and I look forward to some of that economic development in order to help our community thrive in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm excited to hear that there could potentially be an IHOP because I'm actually an IHOP fan.
You can meet us for breakfast. Okay. My daughter's 21. She's always open to a big crowd. I've got some friends of hers that attend Marietta College. We'll just make it a pancake fest.
Okay. And would you like to continue in this position when the next... Let me try to rephrase this. Would you like to continue in this position whenever your term is up?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a number of signs about town and letters to the editor going into the paper. We're in the process of campaigning, so I'll be on the ballot in May. Mm-hmm. And then if I make it through the primary, I'll be in the ballot in fall. We're mm-hmm. hopeful at this point, and I am very excited to have an opportunity to continue some of the things that we've started, and so I'm very hopeful. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to add or say?
Yes, I would like to say that Marietta College has always been very supportive of the city. I'm very excited. Dr. Rude has reached out to a number of our local small businesses. He and his wife have been very kind to do so. They've gotten involved in a number of ways, and so I'm very excited to continue that long-term relationship with Marietta College. He's brought in some major players that will have conferences here in the next couple summers, and so it's very exciting to see that new leadership and continue that relationship.
Okay. Well, thank you, Cindy, for coming in.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for taking the time to join us today. And we appreciate your commitment to serve as an elected official in Marietta.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for staying with us today for this special WCMO News Center 15 program. I'm Matt Peters. Here in the studio with me today is Kathy Downer. Kathy is serving as a member of the City Council at large on Marietta City Council. Kathy, what's your background and why did you decide to get involved with City Council?
Actually, I'm a retired nurse. I was a nurse for 43 years. I keep my nursing license active, just in case. I never really thought about City Council so much as when my kids were in school, I thought about running for the school board, but I did not do it at that time. And this just seemed like a good fit for me, and I've really enjoyed it very much.
Okay. So what are your main responsibilities in this position, and why do you think it's important?
I think all of City Council is important. I think people need to understand that the City Council does not run the city. That is an administration issue. The City Council passes legislation and transfers money, and that's about it. But we also listen to a lot of constituents. They call us, or we meet them in public and get their feedback and convey that feedback to the administration.
Okay. What are the challenges or frustrations that you normally face in this position?
Well, I was the only new person my first term. This is my second term. And so I took the committee that the other person had vacated, which is streets. So we had two major intersection remodels at the same time because one was left over from the previous fall and was behind schedule, so they did two of them at the same time. And I, as a council person, had to facilitate change orders, cost overrides, any legislation that they needed to continue the two large jobs. And that was immediately, as soon as I got sworn in. And I had a lot of orientation. I had the streets crew helping me. I had other more experienced council people helping me. And it's a very important committee, I think, because people notice their street conditions, their alley conditions. That committee also covers the right-of-way, which is an important issue in Marietta.
Okay. What are some things that you think are very positive about this position and that I guess that have a positive effect on other people through this position?
I think the positive feedback that I get is when a citizen tells you, thanks you for listening to them. and/or invite them to a meeting so they can see the process. We have young people come to our meetings for class assignments. We have adults come to our meetings with concerns. And a lot of times the citizen may not understand how the city government works. And while they are discussing their concern with us, they then understand what the council can do, what the council cannot do, and at least get their concerns on a list someplace. Things take a very long time in the government, especially city government. That was difficult for me to learn. As a nurse, you do things immediately. Whether or not you made the right choice, you just live with it and move on to the next project. But in city government, it doesn't happen that way. You have to have a lot of patience.
Okay. I guess going off of that, are there ways that that your previous experience as a nurse has come into play in your position on the council?
Yes, I think so. I didn't realize it at the time, but I have nurses have the skills of organizing their time, delegating work. You also have had some experiences after 43 years of people yelling, and you know what to listen to, what to disregard, what to pay attention to, and realize that if people are yelling at you, it's because they're upset. They're not directing it at you personally, and that's what my skills, my background as a nurse, helps me out on city council in that aspect.
Okay. So looking at the future, what are your plans, goals you'd like to achieve, or projects that you'd like to accomplish in this position?
I would like to see the completion of the next phase of the bike path, which is River Trail 5, and that will take us from the end of like the 8th Street area out to Walmart, because there isn't a safe place for a pedestrian to walk to Walmart. Mm-hmm. So the college kids ride bikes out there, the kids that do not live locally. So they would be able to bike down to the end of 4th Street, pick up the bike path, and walk or bike to Walmart safely. And so I think the bike path, it's done with grant money. We have to provide some matching money. The grants of the future are going to require matching money. There's no more free grant money. I'd like to see that completed, and I'd also like to see the city address an issue that they keep putting on the back burner, which is addressing stormwater runoff in Marietta.
Okay. Yeah, obviously that's a pretty important issue. We got some heavy rain last night, so it's pretty easy to see. So would you, do you plan on continuing in this position for the next election cycle?
I have filed already for this coming election in November. I'm not on the ballot for the primary. I do not have a Democratic opponent for my seat at large. There are 3 empty seats. I'm the only Democrat running again. So I'm in my 2nd term. I've already filed to run for my 3rd term, and after that, you'd have to ask me in 2 years.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the position, or just anything about your experience that you'd like for people to know?
I do enjoy it. There are days when I do not enjoy it because there's a lot of meetings. I don't have to go to all of them, but I do because I'm going to be voting on those issues. So that's the time to ask a question, is during a daytime meeting. But overall, I enjoy it very much.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, and we really appreciate your commitment to serve as an elected official here in Marietta. And thanks again for coming on to talk with us.
You're welcome, Matt, and thank you.
I never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this special WCMO TV NewsCenter 15 program. I'm Rosemary Raths. Here in the studio with me today is Joe Matthews. Joe has served as Marietta's mayor for a number of years. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate being here.
Joe, how long have you been involved with city government?
Well, I'll tell you what. Back in 1966, I became a firefighter for the city of Marietta, and I retired in 1990 with 23 and a half years of service. And in 1992, I ran for the office of mayor. I was elected for 12 years. I got out, I came back, and I'm starting my 18th year with the city of Marietta as mayor, and 41 years with the city of Marietta.
Why is your position important? What are your responsibilities?
Well, my responsibilities, I guess it all starts at the top. You know, you're the head guy and everybody wants to pick on you sometimes, which it doesn't bother me because I love what I do. I've always enjoyed it, or I wouldn't run again. And currently I'm in my term now, and I have 2.5 more years to go in this term. But, you know, people say, well, why are you in government? Well, I like people. I've always liked people, being a firefighter for so many years. And also outside of the city, I've been very active with the Shrine Burns and Crippled Children for 25, 30 years. I've also been involved with veterans organizations for about 8 years. And so I keep pretty busy, and I love what I do.
So it sounds like you really, really enjoy it, but are there any frustrations of the position?
Well, sometimes you get frustrations at home. Sometimes when someone calls you about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and says, my basement is full of water, it's been raining like crazy, and I say, well, you know, we will be happy to come out tomorrow morning and pump your basement out for you, but, you know, tonight we're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And but, you know, every job has frustrations. But the city of Marietta, I love what I do, as I say, and nothing is too big that I can't handle.
If you had to pick one thing that you loved the most, could you do it?
Helping people.
Helping people?
Yeah. And also, see, another thing, too, that people doesn't realize is my job, I'm also permitted to do marriages in the state of Ohio.
Really?
So back when I was in office for the first 12 years, I did 775 wedding ceremonies. And when I got out of office, people called me and said, can you still do weddings? And I said no. And so I wrote to the state of Ohio and asked them if I could continue to do weddings. And they said, you've probably done more than anybody in the state of Ohio. So they give me permission. So I quit counting after 1,200 now. But a matter of fact, speaking of Mr. Vykovic, who just left, I went to Toledo and did a wedding for his son back several years ago. Excuse me, several years ago.
That is really cool.
And that's the fun. That's one of the fun parts of the job, because you get to see a lot of people you know, and of course a lot of people come to Marietta because they love the ambience and the beautiful history of our city, and that's why they come here to get married.
It's definitely a beautiful place for weddings.
Yes, it is.
That must be such a cool perspective on the people that you serve, to see them get married and one of the happiest days of their lives.
The gentleman the other day came up to me and he said, you did my wedding about 15 years ago, do you remember? And I said, yes, I do. I've been very blessed with names and faces. Mm-hmm. And I have people calling me all the time and saying, Joe, this guy, you know who he is. And I say, describe him, please, and then I can say who he is.
So you've been serving for so long. Do you have any plans of projects you want to get done in the future? Anything you'd like to achieve?
Well, the first thing I want to achieve right now is hopefully that the people of Marietta will see their way clear to vote for our city income tax increase, because we definitely need the city income tax. Not that we want to raise taxes, but with the state, as Mr. Vykovic explained to you, they've taken away a few years ago $500,000 in estate taxes, and now they're playing games with our state income or city income tax. So we need the funds. It's not that I want to raise taxes. I would never be quoted as wanting to raise taxes, but it's a necessity, not a luxury, but a necessity that we do this now.
So is there anything else that you would like the people you serve to know, or anything you want to add?
Well, you know, I just, people doesn't realize how much government entails. Mm-hmm. I mean, some people said, well, you know, my street needs fixed, this and that, but a lot goes into what you do with the city and how things are prioritized. And that's just like back in 1997, when the city had a lot of money, so to speak, we purchased a ladder truck for the fire department, which was about $900 and some thousand, and paid cash for it at that time. But those days are gone forever. And as I say, it's just like people want services, but you know, they don't want to pay for them exactly, but they must pay for services.
Well, Joe Matthews, thank you for taking the time to join us today, and thank you for your commitment to serve as an elected official.
Thank you very much.
found Marietta, I didn't just find a place to go to college. I found so much more than that.
I found friends. I found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Well, this concludes our production. We hope this program has helped you to understand the roles of our elected officials a little better. So from all of us here at WCMO TV, Channel 15, thank you so much for joining us for the special NewsCenter 15 production. I'm Landon Santini. Have a good afternoon and a safe and happy summer, everyone.
Candace. This senior basketball player loves to spend time hanging out before class with her best friend and education major Shelby. Shelby knows the best place to study is at the Calapi Cafe, where she can compare notes with baseball player Ryan and get a great cup of coffee too. In the off-season, Ryan tries his best when he's shooting hoops with broadcasting major Gage in the Dyson Baudo Recreation Center, home of Fenton Court. Gage, as producer at WCMO 15 News, runs the control room, where he shows the ropes to Mary, a junior volleyball player and advertising and public relations major. Mary loves to spend her free time drawing down at the Herman Fine Arts Center, where her sorority sister Madison majors in studio art. Madison meets up downtown with junior rower Katie. Downtown's where you can get beautiful river views, specialty stores, and the best root beer in Ohio. Katie heads back to campus just in time for a class in the Rickey Science Center with who else but Candace. So take a look around. Here at Marietta College, we're all connected. We are family, and we are all pioneers.
Some people say that we should just live for today. But when today ends, tomorrow begins.
Seen such a view before, a new world before my eyes. So much for me to explore. It's where my future lies. Today I'm standing at the edge of tomorrow. From here the future looks bright for me, and it's all up to me how far I go. It's my time to break away. I'm standing at the edge of tomorrow. Today.
Marietta College. Tomorrow begins today.
My Marietta.
My Marietta.
My Marietta.
My Marietta.
My home away from home.
My stepping stones for the future.
My Marietta Network.
My performing.
At Marietta College, the professors are here for you more than just your classes. They want to help you succeed in both school and your career because they really care about you as a person. And that's why I can call my professors my friends. And that's why they're part of my Marietta network.
I enjoy being here at Marietta College with all the kind of things that you get to do with mass media. You get to work around with the community, whether it be the elections that happen or with sports. You get to work on radio and format your own kind of show, whichever way you'd like to do it. And you even get to work on live television here. I mean, there's nothing more you could really ask for if you're interested in broadcasting or doing anything that involves mass media here at Marietta. It's a fun experience and I love it.
Marietta College provides me with state-of-the-art facilities. Also, while heading to class, it was like taking a stroll in the park. I've absolutely fallen in love with the campus.
At Marietta College, everybody cares about each other. We all say hi and smile when we see each other. My professors really know me and they care about my success. And I get to perform a lot here at the theater, and I get to sing and I get to play in any bands that I want to. It's great.